Hey guys, Jonah here, back with a beer review, and probably long overdue because I haven't had a beer for 4 days. I'm feeling a bit funny, and is that because I've had um, horrendous chemicals injected into my penis, or is it because I haven't had a beer lately? Well, cancer will do that to you, dear fellows, and yeah, it's weird. They give you poison to kind of solve a mutation. Very weird, very weird. But anyway, it is from the Collab Fest. Ironically, this is the last beer from this box, and I got the new box the other day. So, you know, I think that's pretty cool. And apparently, this one is the best one. Well, according to Beer 52, it is. And who am I to argue? Well, we'll see. It is this beer here. It is Black Sheep, um, and this is the Riggwelter, which is pretty cool. But this is the Cherry and Cacao version because they have teamed up with Japas. Yeah, which is yeah, Japanese and Brazilian apparently crossover, which is absolutely nuts. I will put that over there, and hopefully it will focus. There we go, it did focus. There we go, the fabled Riggwelter, but not as you know it. Brewed in collaboration with Nippo Brazilian. Jesus Christ, you guys need to work on your diversity and inclusion, I think. Japas. It's a unique twist on the Yorkshire classic, combining shared values of heritage and ancestry with beer and a story. Our friends are using ingredients inspired by Japanese and Brazilian origins. Strong and malty with cacao nibs and cherry juice. Holy Jesus. And it was made in Masham, obviously, with the fabled Dale's water. I'm sure Dale won't be happy about that. 6%. And look, it's even got this. It's got a cherry and some chocky. So yeah, absolutely ridiculous, man. And it keeps going out of focus because it's thinking about focusing on my beautiful face. So there's the black sheep on his back. Nuts. Just what the hell? Nippo Brazilian. Jesus. So yeah, that's ironic. And this has been in the fridge for a while. I was gonna have it in the fridge for a couple of hours and drink it the other day, but I got another beer instead. And it's been in there since since my trip to the hospital. So yeah, I thought I'll have it today. And yeah, hopefully this will be some entertaining brewage. I quite like entertaining brewage. There we go. There's the thing. There's the beer, and as usual, my grinning face in the middle. Head-wise, that's a finger's head, don't you think? Dark, lovely dark beer. Mahogany, I would call that, because it has a tinge of kind of redness about it. And I'm not talking about the reflection of the cameras and all that jazz. Look at that head, lovely, creamy kind of. Well, it is a creamy coloured head. It's off-white, and obviously because of the cherry juice, it's kind of given it a tiny hint of kind of pink to it as well. Obviously, Ice just swirled the beer like an amateur, but there are quite a few really fine small bubbles coming up. I don't know if you can quite see them kind of coming up and joining the head, you know, creating a nice compacted head, which is always good, and I like head. Wow. Really interesting. Dark, malty aroma. Very malty, like I say. but with a hint of kind of sweetness. And I wouldn't say the cacao has given it a chocolatey nose, but it's definitely given it a kind of creaminess, if that makes sense. Interesting. It's got some chocolate malt in it, along with the pale malt, and I believe the hops in this bad boy are Goldings hops, which is cool because I'm sure they're not East Kent Goldings, but maybe they are, and if so, that's where I live. So a pleasant kind of nod to the past, which is pretty good. So this normal beer, and I've had this before, but not with the cherries and the cacao, obviously. Have a look in my back catalogue. And when you're there, why not think about subscribing to the channel? You'll never miss another beer review. Leave a comment below. If you've had this beer already, let me know what you thought, because I like it when people take really classic beers, like really good classic beers, tinker with them a little bit. For me personally, I don't think I've ever had one that's substantially better than the original, but it's always nice to try different stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm really looking forward to this. And like I said, Beer 52, their head editor or head buyer or whatever it is, their head honcho, has selected this beer as the best one in the box. So we'll see what's up with that. There's been some good ones, but there's also been some cheesy ones too. Cheers and beers. So I always feel a bit of nostalgia and sort of regret when I get to the end of a box. But I know the next one is from Scotland, my heritage, because my mum's Scottish, full on Scottish. My dad is half Scottish, making me 3/4 Scottish, even though I was born down south. Um, and then the one after is Belgian beers, and I love a good Belgian beer. Anyway, cheers and beers, dear viewer. We shall see what we get from this bad boy. Okay. Ooh. So as it touched my tongue, I was getting old school, proper dishwater bitter. But then that, as I drunk it back, that fast turned into a sort of milk chocolatey thing, which is obviously going to be the use of cacao nibs, not so much the chocolate malt, because I don't think they've used too much chocolate malt. You can overdo chocolate malt. And as to the cherry, I don't think that you get it. Maybe really late in the aftertaste. Um, but yeah, I'm getting more that kind of chocolate cocoa-y thing, cacao. Um, yeah, than the cherry itself. Um, yeah, maybe it's like those kind of not those sweets. Pardon me, those kind of cough sweets that are a bit like cherry. That kind of, but they're a bit more full on. But they definitely give you this aftertaste that lingers in the mouth. Obviously, they taste like cherry too. I'm talking about things like tunes and perhaps soothers and things like that. Um, but yeah, imagine that, but you don't get the taste of the cherry in your mouth, but you get that aftertaste that follows you around for a good hour after you've had one. Um, one of my dear friends, who's sadly no longer here on this mortal coil, used to say that you can live on yeah, on no, what was it? Coffee drops? No, soothers and cigarettes. And when we were at college, we definitely tried to do that. Anyway, let's try see if we get a second glance or something that lingers in the memory. that original Riggwelter kind of, yeah, dark, strong, bitter. It hits you up front, and it really reminds me of times going to the pub, especially before I was 18. We used to go to the old men's pubs because they never seemed to ID you. Whereas if you went to the Ponzi bars, not only were you welcomed by some massive guy standing on the door, you couldn't even get to the bar sometimes. How old are you? All that kind of nonsense. And that is not what I'm about at all. I don't like the confrontation. I don't like those idiots as well. But if you go to an old man's pub, a traditional pub serving real ales, and perhaps that's partly where I've got my love of real ales from. Um, yeah, they never asked you for ID. Half the time, the person behind the bar was drinking as well. Um, and yeah, so we always used to get served. I think when I was about 16, we used to go into pubs and just walk straight up and go, oh yeah, 3 or 4 pints of bitter or whatever it was. Never got ID'd at all. But you go to the Ponzi pubs, the wine bars, and the yeah, anything with bar in. God, yeah, terrible places in my estimation. Um, Now the other thing is, have a look at those absolutely gorgeous, thick lines of head there that denote where I have taken my 2 sips so far on this beer. Lovely, lovely. I love that. Like those tide marks that happen when I get in the bath, which is rare these days. Maybe once a week. And there, dear viewer, is the third line there. 3 sips. 1, 2, 3. 3 obscenely large tide lines. And if we look on the back, look at that rainfall of head. I love that. It looks like a hunting scene. Look, there's a creature there, and there are creatures jumping through the back of my glass. Oh, look, there's a stag, a jumping stag. Wow, it's like the Wild Hunt. Absolutely crazy. Perhaps embossed onto a nice tapestry hanging on the wall. Dear viewer, when my long overdue lottery win finally comes in, I think I might have a couple of tapestries hanging in the castle that I'm going to be living in, like a Bond villain. Anyway, thinking of that, hopefully you've enjoyed the Riggwelter Cherry Cacao by Dark Sheep and Japas. Jesus Christ, what a name for a brewery, Japas. I can think of much better ones. Anyhow, this has been your loving Uncle Jonah. Pardon me, drinking beers. You can tell by the belches that I've been drinking beers for your entertainment. But don't worry, because there'll be more beer reviews coming from that Scottish box, and I've got a few left from my birthday box too. They'll be coming up in another beer review, and that's coming real soon.